Invierte en tu futuro.
Estudia en FUNDES del Espinal.
Derechos, licenciatura en lengua extranjera e inglés, tecnología en regencia de farmacia y especialización en educación e intervención psicoeducativa.
Becas, descuentos y convenios.
Llama ya al 320-225-4010.
Institución sujeta a inspección y vigilancia por el Ministerio de Educación Nacional.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to the second day of the CLIL International Simposio. It is a pleasure to recompense in this academic space with reflection, dialogue, and knowledge exchange, continuing to shape our understanding of language education. Building on the insights shared yesterday, today offers use and new opportunities to deepen our perspectives. Engage with diverse voices and strengthen your commitment to innovation in teaching and learning.
Muy buenos días a todos y bienvenidos al segundo día del Simposio Internacional CLIL. Es un placer reencontrarnos en este espacio académico donde la reflexión, el diálogo y el intercambio de saberes continúan enriqueciendo nuestra comprensión sobre la educación en lenguas. A partir de los aportes compartidos el día de ayer, hoy se nos presenta una nueva oportunidad para profundizar en nuestras perspectivas, interactuar con diversas voces y fortalecer nuestro compromiso con la innovación en los procesos de enseñanza y aprendizaje.
Sorry. Ok, vamos con la oración fundesina.
Oración fundesina. Danos, Señor, la sabiduría necesaria para que nuestras palabras y nuestros actos sean siempre el reflejo de tu grandeza y para que hagamos de nuestra labor formadora la luz que penetre en las mentes y corazones de quienes viven en permanente búsqueda del saber. Destierra, Padre, de nuestra senda toda muestra de negativismo y tristeza, que siempre brille en nuestros labios una sonrisa de esperanza, que cada reto, que cada obstáculo, que cada fracaso se conviertan en una fuerza para seguir luchando por tu gloria. Que sepamos a través de la ciencia mostrar la majestad de tu obra y a través de las artes la belleza que le has dado al espíritu humano. Ilumina nuestras mentes y nuestros corazones para cumplir siempre tu santa voluntad y hacer de nuestra vida una fiesta en tu nombre. Amén.
Let us begin this new day with the same enthusiasm and academic curiosity that has brought together.
Damos inicio a esta nueva jornada con el mismo entusiasmo y compromiso académico que nos convoca.
We begin with John Brainerd Garcia and his presentation, Teaching Critical Thinking, a Pedagogical Approach for Meaningful Learning.
Damos inicio con John Brainerd Garcia y su ponencia Teaching Critical Thinking, a Pedagogical Approach for Meaningful Learning.
John Brainerd Garcia holds a bachelor's degree in modern language and specialization in pedagogical. He has also complemented graduate studies in linguistics and currently working on his master's thesis in English language teaching. His professional experience includes teaching, material development, and academic work in areas such as reading, critical thinking, and bilingualism and language education.
John Brainerd García es licenciado en Lenguas Modernas y especialista en Pedagogía. Ha realizado estudios de posgrado en Lingüística y actualmente desarrolla su tesis de maestría en Enseñanza del Inglés. Su experiencia profesional incluye docencia, diseño de materiales y trabajo académico en áreas como lectura, pensamiento crítico, bilingüismo y enseñanza de lenguas.
Please join me in welcome him with a round
Por favor, acompañémoslo con un fuerte aplauso.
Hello, everyone. Okay, I'm gonna start explaining why the title of this presentation. Basically, the first and main interest is related to critical thinking, especially nowadays, because as we already know, social networks have affected the possibilities of improving attention. And if we have a lack in attention capacity, we are going to be easily manipulated, you know? For that reason, I decided to call this presentation, as you read it, Teaching Critical Thinking, a Pedagogical Approach for a Meaningful Learning. I want to be a little bit precise with a comment. I'm not going to give you steps or tips in order to be applied. I'm going to give you some elements that can be applied if you decide it. It depends on us, as usually happens when teaching. Let's start. In that slide, you can see two interesting facts. Number one, the picture of Sherlock Holmes. Yes. And a test, a quote. He says, no, I never guess. It is a shocking habit, destructive to the logical faculty. What seems strange to you is only so because you do not follow my train of thought or observe the small facts upon which large inferences may depend. That quote, you can find it in The Sign of Four, one of the 4 novels that comfort the Holmesian canon. Got it? Who is Sherlock Holmes? Although it's a fictional character, for me, is the best reader I have ever met. You know, Arthur Conan Doyle was quite intelligent when he created that character. I don't know if you have watched Sherlock Holmes series on Netflix or Sherlock Holmes movies, but when you watch them, you can see and you can prove what I'm telling about. Please. The way I organize my presentation is as follows. Number one, some words regarding education. Number two, why did I end interested in critical thinking? What is critical thinking as such? Core critical thinking skills, purposeful reflective judgment, key ideas to promote critical thinking, ideas, that is an acronym. You're gonna see every letter or each letter means something. Let's try is a sort or are 3 activities that I designed that I hope you to do with me and you share your experiences or your answers. Finally, some partial/final words, but not conclusions, because this topic is a sort of never-ending topic. And references. Let's start with some words regarding education. Education is a social fact. We can say that maybe education and language share that same feature. Both are social. Both are cultural. When we talk about education, we have to think of that concept from the perspective of social relationships. Education helps us to comprehend and understand others. In words of Daniel Goleman, education also facilitates the development of emotional intelligence. Education looks like a never-ending event. We never stop being educated. You know, if we think education is a limited task, we are really wrong about that. Finally, education is decisive for our present and future. Nelson Mandela said, education is the key element, the key aspect for everything, or for almost everything. Thank you. Next, please. Okay, why did I get interested in critical thinking? CT always will mean critical thinking. There are 4 reasons, or maybe there are more than 3 reasons, but I couldn't name it, all of them. The 3 main of those reasons are, number 1, I got interested in critical thinking when I read the Holmesian canon. As I told you at the beginning, the Holmesian canon is organized in 56 tales and 4 novels. You know, in that part, in those tests, you can see an authentic critical reader. Second, after reading, Peter Fasionis and Carol Ann Gitten's test. If you have the chance to get that book, do it. It's a fantastic book. That book is called Think Critically. In that book, or I took most of the idea I'm going to present from that book. Yes, as I tell you, if you have the chance to read it, if you have the chance to get it, you can find it on the web in a PDF format. You're going to be very enriched with that textbook. And finally, as a personal necessity to understand two aspects. Number one, how mind works. And I started to feel interested about this fact when I read Steven Pinker's book, How Mind Works. And second, to understand and recognize the way people can manipulate us. In that part, I also like mention Robert Greene. I don't know if you have heard about Robert Greene, but he's a very interesting author too. Two key books, How Mind Works and The Law of Human Nature. Cómo funciona la mente y las leyes de la naturaleza humana. Next, please. Now let's try to do this. I'm going to read those quotes because I think it's quite important to read them and to explain them. The first one, according to Alec Fisher, 2011, check this. Critical thinking is essentially, fundamentally, if you want, essentially an active process. Critical thinking is not and will never be a passive process. It's an active process in which you think things through for yourself. Here is the best part, for yourself. Raise questions yourself, find relevant information yourself, and so on, rather than learning in a largely passive way from someone else. You know? Nowadays, we have more chances and opportunities to learn by ourselves. You know? But also, we need to take some elements, some tools to understand or to develop or to strengthen. Yes, we can use those two verbs. Number one, develop, and number two, strengthen critical thinking skills. Critical or reflective thinking demands a high degree of awareness. As I was preparing this presentation, I thought on key concepts that we have in English, in the context of English language teaching and learning. Number one, awareness. Number two, scaffolding. I love those concepts. You know, in English, we speak about linguistic awareness. If we are aware linguistically, we have more chances to learn a language. To clearly understand the role of thought, meant as a tool of comprehension, interpretation, and analysis of the context in which you used to take part. For example, family, school, friends, and work. You can add more context if you want. Please, next. Fascioni, Peter Fascioni, is the key author in this presentation. Defines critical thinking as the process of reasoned judgment. It involves a set of stages. We are going to see those stages as we advance. And a step that I require to be applied when making decisions. Making decisions. I know that we all have felt a struggle when having to make decisions. There are simple decisions, there are complex decisions, but finally we have to make decisions. As we think, our mind carries out some task whose purpose is to support everyday actions that will subsequently affect us. For that reason, we need to think critically, because once we make a decision, there's no chance to go back. You know? Critical thinking also includes the ability of inquiry, which is closely related to a natural uncertainty that lays in every dimension or dimension of human's life. Check this, uncertainty. Yes? Critical thinking, yes, is always or has always that element, uncertainness. You know? Next, please. Okay, I would like you to pay attention to this part. If you see the image, we could say that maybe it seems like an atom, you know? Peter Facioni and Carol Ann Gittens, in their book, Think Critically, mentioned this, core critical thinking skills. Check this. I suppose that we all are teachers, or we are working on, or we are, or we hope to work as teachers. And as I told you at the beginning, I'm not going to give you tips. I want to present you an information, and I want you to take the best for this, for you to apply it. Peter Facioni considers core critical thinking skills are interpretation, inference, self-regulation, evaluation, explanation, and analysis. I want to focus on self-regulation. When reading about language learning strategies, when reading about emotional intelligence, and when reading about critical thinking, the expression self-regulation is present in all those scenarios. Rebecca Osborne mentions, when she talks about language learning strategies, she mentions as one of those key strategies, self-regulation. But what is it, self-regulation, guys? What do you consider is self-regulation? Let me know. What is self-regulation? Do you consider you are good at self-regulating? And what happens when we don't self-regulate? Tell me. Anybody wants to give me your opinion? What is self-regulation?
Okay, we're going to use this one. With this one, we are going to answer questions, right? Yeah,
Sorry.
that's right. Yeah. So, can you repeat the question, teacher?
Yes. Basically, the question is, what is self-regulation? Self-regulation. Sorry.
For me, self-regulation is had control in my
Okay.
emotions.
Okay.
Okay. Other one. You know what is self-regulation? We're going to interact. Okay, we're going to interact with the teacher, Jim Rainer, so they used to answer this question. For you, what is self-regulation? Sarah said is take the control of your emotions. That's a good answer. That's really good. So what is self-regulation for you? Think about it. 1 minute. Think about it. What is a self-regulation? What is self-regulation for you? Somebody? Think about it. And raise your hand. You said, like Sarah, take control of your emotions. That's really good. So, what about the others? Fernando, you want to say something about self-regulation? Okay, you're thinking. Michael, did you participate all day long yesterday? Self-regulation. Valentina, what is self-regulation? Yes, about emotions.
Okay, I think self-regulation is maybe thinking my actions and control my behavior in face the situation.
Okay.
That's right. Good.
I would like to continue in that way. Let's try to speak about the other skills. If you pay attention, specifically in the center of the image, we can read purposeful reflective judgment. Don't forget, this is Peter Facioni's definition of critical thinking. Let's move to the next word. What is it? Interpretation. We always speak about interpretation. Don't forget, the main topic is critical thinking. What is interpretation?
This is other question, yeah?
Yeah, we are going to work on all of them because I want to interact with the audience.
Yes.
I want you to all tell me your opinions about those concepts. After I'm gonna show you those definitions. Go.
Okay, perfect. Sara.
For me, interpretation is create the imagine in my mind the some situation.
Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you, Sara. Anybody else? Right.
I don't know. And for me, interpretation is that I can understand whatever thing. I don't know.
Okay, interpretation is a synonym of understanding.
Yes.
Yes, in your words, maybe.
What is interpretation for you? Yes.
I think the interpretation is when you think about a situation and you will get a perspective about that.
Okay. Next, inference. Inference. What is inference? What does it mean to infer? And what does it mean to make inferences?
Inference. What is an inference?
I think it's when you deduce an idea. I think it's when you try you understand something because you have a perspective about that. Es como lo que tú crees que puede hacer.
Okay. Let's move to the next concept. Explanation. What is
Explanation.
explanation?
Explanation. Somebody wants to talk about explanation. What is explanation for you? No? Explanation. What is the explanation for you, Aleja? Explain. Explain something. What is an explanation? What is the explanation for you?
Okay.
Okay, I define explanation is relative explain any topic. No.
Okay. Explanation is basically explain, and explain implies a real complex process that is arguing. Luis Vega Riñón says arguing is to talk about something to somebody. That is arguing. Now, let's talk about analysis, and we are going to close this part with evaluation. What is it, analysis?
Analysis. What else? Somebody wants to talk about analysis? Bruno.
Analysis is when you take the time to think about something.
Okay.
Somebody else? Lauren? Analysis for you? What is analysis?
For me, it's a process when the people think about or can go deeper, go deeper the thinking, go deep. Yes, it's like when you try to give your own perspective about the topic.
Okay. Thanks for that. Okay, we're gonna read now what Passioni say about all those skills. Don't forget, those are skills. Think about this. Purposeful reflective judgment. That is another way to say critical thinking. What do we need to develop to strengthen critical thinking? Passioni says in this way. Please. We have interpretation. First verb, to comprehend. Check this. We have this chart. This chart is organized in 3 components. Number 1, the skill. Number 2, the definition of that skill. And number 3, sub-skills. So we need sub-skills to get to achieve the skill. The key verb in number 1 is comprehend and express the meaning or significance. Why is this or that? Or why does this or that happen? Number 2, identify. To identify the intended and actual information relationships. You know, we have to pay attention to the information we have and to start, decide to filter, if you want to use that verb, to filter the information you have and to start making decisions about what is the most relevant information you need for what. Just think of this. When you read a book, when you need to do a task for any subject, and you go to the library, you ask for a book, you immediately go to the index. By the index or through the index, you can have a general idea and decide if that book is useful or isn't useful for you. Okay, let's go back. Interpretation, the sub-skills categorize. Decode significance. Decode significance basically is to see if the information given is relevant or not. Clarify meaning. Analysis. The sub-skill, examine ideas, identify arguments, identify, locate, place, recognize. You can use any of those words. Identify arguments. What are arguments? Reasons. The arguments are the floor on which we move when we explain something. Stephen Toulmin, in his book, The Uses of Argumentation, say, arguments are the most important part of any discursive process. So if we don't have arguments, we are just speculating. And normally, those arguments are supported with sources. You know sources, fuentes, datos, information. Normally, that information is found out in other scholars, for example. Inference. Second time, we find identify and secure elements needed to draw. Draw here is a synonym of going to draw reasonable conclusions. Check this. Sub-skills, query evidence, yes, conjecture, alternatives, draw logically valid or justified conclusions. So if we want to achieve these skills, we need to start working on those sub-skills. Got it? Next. Evaluation. Maybe we could say that evaluation is the final part of the process of critical thinking. Let's think of this too. Critical thinking is also the capacity to take a position about something, to place in a distance without emotions, feelings, and any of those aspects that affect my capacity of judge. Tomar distancia, basically. To assess the credibility, if you want, you can add credibility, reliability. How reliable and how credible is what I'm being said, what I am reading, or what I'm going to tell the audience. Sub-skill, assess credibility of claims, ideas if you want, assess quality of arguments that were made using inductive or deductive reasoning. Next step, explanation. Explanation is state or justify. Justify is giving reasons, explaining to people why I decided to do this or that, why I decided to think about this or about that. The sub-skill, state results, justify from or with arguments. Present arguments. If you want, present reasons. And finally, we have self-regulation. Self-regulation is quite relevant here because it helps us to, and here we find another key concept, monitor. Monitor my self-learning. The sub-skills in that concept are self-monitor and self-correct. And in this part, I want to give you the word to you. Do you self-monitor? Do you self-monitor your own learning process? Do you self-correct your own learning process? And I want to explain why I am focusing on these two sub-skills. As we have spoken, we have seen that just few people have spoken, have explained, have dared to participate. Why do we do that? Because we feel scared, we feel afraid, we don't give to the errors, to the mistakes, the possibility that to enrich my learning process. And now I want you to tell me if you, as students or as teachers, self-monitor and self-correct, and give me one example, one specific example in which you apply self-monitor and self-correction. Please tell me. Hello.
So where is the question, teacher?
The question is if they self-monitor or self-correct when they study, or when they are studying for an exam, or if nowadays he has taken the time to self-correct, to self-regulate, to self-monitor.
Okay, all right. Good. Somebody wants to answer the question? Somebody in these times, or maybe try to be a self-correction, try to be the self or practicing the self-correcting while you are studying. Yeah. While you're a student, maybe you practice the self-correcting or self-correction. Yeah. Can you give me an example, teacher?
For example, in my case, when I was starting to study languages, I used to, because I didn't know the correct pronunciation of the words that begin with the combination of K and N. For example, no. What do students usually say, or how do usually students say this word? Cano.
Cano. Yes.
Cano. And when we as teachers correct the mistake, you know, we are giving the chance to that student to learn, and he or she is not going to repeat that mistake once again. But it happens when we are in the class. What happens when you are studying? What do you do when you want to pronounce a word in a correct way?
What do you do?
Do you self-monitor? Do you self-correct?
Maybe with apps or something like that?
Yes. Yes.
Somebody wants to talk about that? How to correct the mistakes when you are practicing English, for example? What do you do?
Maybe I usually practice with Gemini when I practice my speaking ability, my speaking skill. So Gemini Gemini corrects the mistakes that I did. So that's my way.
Okay, thanks a lot. I want to show you this. This is a piece of paper, and here there are some words that I wanted to know very clear, in a very clear way, the real meaning and the real translation. Because if I'm going to use those words here, I can't allow to make mistakes in the use of the meaning, for example. So I do this, I self-monitor. And if I make mistakes, I self-correct. You know? Thanks. Please. Key questions. This is the part I like the most. Please. Okay. If we wanted to work interpretation, let's try to think about it. If we want to implement this information, if we wanted to implement how to work these skills, I recommend not to do with all of them at the same time. We can design activities in which we can focus on one or two. Why? Because we need first to handle as teachers. And second, students are not usually familiarized with this type of activities. If you want to work interpretation with an activity, it doesn't matter if listening, speaking, reading, or writing. If you design your activity, including those questions, maybe your activity will be more enriched and will contribute to the students' learning. Number one, what does it mean? Number two, how should we understand that? For example, what he or she just said. In this context, because we have... Hello? Okay. In this context, we have mentioned some keywords. Number one, do you remember? Scaffolding. Number two, you remember the other word?
We have a scaffolding. What was the other? Remember?
¿Cuál fue la otra palabra que mencionamos? Scaffolding.
In critical thinking.
Okay. And here we are paying attention to context. Teun Van Dyck. Yes? The linguist has a textbook that is called Text and Context. Text y context. The context sometimes influence the meaning of what we say or the interpretation we do about something. You know, when we listen to information from only one source and we make decisions based on that source only, maybe we can make mistakes on the decisions. We have to take into account the context because as we already know, and maybe it sounds like a commonplace, we don't behave in the same way with all people. Next skill, analysis. Please tell us again your reasons for making that claim. What is your conclusion? What is that you are claiming? What are the arguments pro and con, a favor y en contra? What is your basis for saying that? I mean, what is your floor? From which author you are supporting your ideas? Because if you don't have sources, maybe I'm not going to believe what you are saying. Yes? Influence. I love this skill. Given what we know so far, what conclusions can we draw? What does this evidence imply? If we abandon or accepted that assumption, how would things change? If we believed these things, what would they imply for us using wordware? Please. Evaluation. How credible, reliable, trustworthy is what you are saying? Why do we think we can trust what this person claims? How strong are your arguments? How strong are your arguments? Do we have our facts right? I mean, have we previously checked if the information I found or I'm gonna use is true or trustworthy? Explanation. What were the specific findings or results? If you want, these questions will lead you to write an excellent research proposal when you are going to get graduated as teachers. If you implement those questions, when you write, the final result will be a good project. What were the specific findings, results? How did you come to that interpretation? Why do you think that was the right or was the solution? How would you explain why this particular decision was made, your particular decision? Why, if all here said this, you say this? What made the difference? Self-regulation. Our position on this issue is still too vague or vague. Muy vaga. Let's try to go in depth. Is there a way we can reconcile these two apparently conflicting conclusions? Is there a way? How good is our evidence? And finally, I'm finding definitions a little confusing. Thanks, please. Ideas is an acronym. Try to apply this when you write, when you speak. Please. Apply those steps. Number one, I for identify. Let's think of your research proposal for the research class. Identify the problem and set priorities. For example, I was told that Sherlock Holmes is a genius. How can I understand, or in which source can I find information? Do I need to read the whole 56 tales? No. If we want to know Sherlock Holmes, we need to read the first novel, A Study in Scarlet. So I set priorities. Among the 4 novels and 56 tales, I will focus on the first novel that is called A Study in Scarlet. I set a priority, reading the first novel. Then, and afterwards, if you want, I'm going to read the other novels and the other tales. But for now, I'm going to focus on the first one, that is A Study in Scarlet. Number 2, determine relevant information and deepen understanding. We have to use criteria to determine this. E, enumerate options and anticipate consequences. If you want to know the role of anticipation when thinking, I recommend watch once more, if you already did it, a movie of Sherlock Holmes. He is the master of masters in anticipating. A, assess the situation and make preliminary decision. Scrutinize the process and self-correct as needed. Implement this in your life, and maybe it's gonna be less easy to manipulate. Please. And now let's try. Here I have 3 activities, and here I want you to all participate. I would like to. Activity 1. Okay, I like to work a lot with images. Yes, I taught semiotics at university, and when I taught semiotics, I learned that images, that science in general, give a lot of information about something, about ideas, about everything. Check that image. Watch the following picture and write as much ideas as come to your mind about its meaning. Pay attention to its meaning. Share at least one idea and explain why or what do you mean with it. Got it? Let's have 5 minutes for doing that. Write on your notebook if you have where to write. Pay attention to the instruction. The instruction is quite clear. Watch the image, write as much ideas, and then share just one. Just one. Yep. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So, first part, watch the following picture and write as much ideas as to your mind about its meaning. Yes? So the first step is writing a lot of ideas about the image, right? And the second one, share at least one idea and explain what do you mean with it. Okay, so in the first step, okay, everybody try to write a lot of ideas in your cell phone. I don't know, in whatever you want, maybe in an application that you have in your cell phone. Try to write a lot of ideas about what do you think of this image. And in the second part, you're going to explain one idea of those. Okay? You get it? Okay, start. We have 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes. Try to write a lot of ideas about the image, right? And in the second part, remember, try to explain just one of those. 5 minutes. Yeah, the ideas are about that image. Got it? If you want to use AI, it's okay. You remember last presentation, Guillermo Beuchat, that we wrote a lot of ideas on ChatGPT, yes, with an image. So try to do the same. Yes, take a picture, go to ChatGPT and write a lot of ideas about this image and try to explain one of those. ¿Pones el relojito ahí? Ahí sale el relojito. Ah, okay. You get it? Okay, we have one student. Okay, next, somebody else? Somebody else got the ideas about the image and want to explain just one of those? Who's ready? Who's ready? Just raise your hand if you are ready with the ideas of the image. Sarah? Ready? Okay, Shara? You ready? Okay. Somebody else? Laura, you ready? What else? Juan, ready? And you ready? Okay. Fernando, ready? No? And Fabian? Yes? Okay. So we're going to start with Michael, and the others got the time to think about it. Teacher, we're going to start with Michael.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I interpreted this picture deeply way, yeah, because I think that the picture represents to us, because we are always missing something, either at the work, at the study, in our family. Always we are missing this part or a part, yeah. And that's all, yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. Laura, ready?
Okay, the image represents the human mind as a puzzle. This missing piece shows that we are always learning or trying to understand something. The hand with the piece may symbolize health, education, or new knowledge that completes our thinking.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Here, this line, no? Sarah. Yeah? Aleja? Oh, Aleja, that's good.
Okay, okay, according to the image, learning helps complete the piece of the brain.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, of the brain. Sarah.
The missing piece, learning, is like a puzzle. We are always looking for that one piece of information to complete our understanding of a topic. Good morning, everyone. And each prize comes from learning, experience, and people around you. The hand shows how others share their knowledge with us.
Thank you. Nice.
Okay. When I saw for the first time that the picture, I consider it represents or it influences to be more thoughtful. That's what I thought about it.
Very good. Nice. Fernando. No? Hey, Fabian. You want it? Lauren.
For me, is a social construct for to do a person, some customs, traditions, and childhood.
Thank you, Lauren. Somebody else? No? Alomino? No? One? Yes?
So this picture represent for me, represent how the brain acquire the knowledge through time. Every day, every month, we are always to learn. Okay?
Very good one. Nicole, you want to say something? That's good.
In my opinion, the missing piece symbolizes something important we need, such as understanding and learning or emotional balance. The hand could represent help from others or the process of discovering something new that completes us.
Nice. Good.
Let's continue with this image. Now let's try to do this. Try to summarize your ideas in just one word. Give me one word that summarizes what you said. And now I want you to pay attention to some details. Number one, the colors. The colors. Number two, the hand. This one. Yes. Let's try to think of a word, only one word. I don't know. Maybe you say sadness. Why sadness? Got it? We're going to have 5 minutes more. And I would like more people participate. Don't forget the instruction. Think of a word, only a word, that in your words summarize what that picture transmits you. Go ahead, please.
Just one word.
Yes, just one word.
Okay.
For me, knowledge.
For me, learning.
Okay, learning.
Thinking. For me, acquisition.
Acquisition, acquisition. All right. Teacher.
Break.
Brain. Okay.
Reflection.
Reflection. Okay, good.
Input.
Input. That's nice.
Integration.
Interaction. Yeah, interaction. Okay. Teacher.
Yes. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Maybe building.
Building. Christian.
Process.
Process.
Justification.
Justification. It's good. Oh no, somebody? Yes, that's good because the brain and the mind is difficult.
Difficult, no? Difficult.
Difficult. It's good. Want to say something?
Metacognition.
Good. Metacognition.
One idea? One word? One word? Achievement.
Achievement. Good.
Build up.
Build up.
Knowledge.
Knowledge. No.
Pleasure.
Yeah, like complex. Yes. Somebody else? Michael, you ready? One word.
Perhaps balance.
Balance.
Belong.
Belong. All right. Shira.
Maybe perspective.
Perspective. Yeah, that's good. Perspective. Okay. Good teacher.
I'm going to try to read what you said. Knowledge, learning, interaction, thinking, building, acquisition, process, brain, justification, reflection, difficult, if you want, complexity, metacognition, input. If you read Stephen Krashen is one of the main, it's like a the father of input theory. And don't forget, input is what we receive from the outside. And of course, we need to take care about that. Because if we receive garbage, it's very difficult to produce good things, good ideas. We have also achievement, maybe the final process. Yes, achievement is when we have arrived to that place we have wanted to arrive. And also, some of you told balance, like equilibrium, belong, and perspective. Basically, critical thinking includes all of those elements that you previously mentioned. Thanks for this part. Now let's move to the second activity. And here, in this part, we are gonna be a little bit more tense. Okay, now, we are going to do the same, but here, I want you to pay attention to this. First, read next quote and suggest a possible interpretation and a possible context. We have two key words: interpretation and context. And there is a bridge between them. That is possible. Possible interpretation and context, in which you would use it. We are moving from reading images, pictures, to read words. Got it? Okay. Assume nothing. Question everything. Open your eyes. Challenge the opposition and start thinking. It's like a step-by-step activity. But pay attention to the instruction. Read it and suggest a possible interpretation and a possible context in which you, as teachers, use it. Got it? Let's have 5 minutes for thinking and for writing your ideas. 5 minutes. Go ahead.
It's okay? All right. Three minutes. So remember, read the next quote and suggest a possible interpretation and possible context in which you will use it. Remember, read the quote and suggest a possible interpretation and a context in which you will use it. Two minutes. Ready? Okay, we have the first student ready here. Somebody else? Who's ready? Raise your hand, please. We got a minute. We got a minute. Okay, 30 seconds. Lauda is ready. Okay. Nice. Somebody else? Nicole? Ready now? Here? No? Ready? No. Whatever context, not just in the education, not just the academic context, can be other one. Okay, so start. Michael.
Okay. For me, this is very important because we always think that we have the reason, yeah? But it is that no way? Is that no way? Yeah. Why? Because when we question or ask something, we learn about it. Yeah, about the answer, about the different perspective. This is very important because I repeat, sometimes we always assume that we have the reason, and that is not that way.
Okay, and in which context we can use this quote? Suggest an interpretation, and in which context you will use it?
Which?
Yes. ¿Dónde podrías usar?
Okay, for example, maybe in the language context, because sometimes we don't question about the answer or the topic, and we don't learn about it. Yeah.
So in the language context can be the classroom. Okay. All right. Laura.
Okay, the quote means that we should not believe everything easily. We need to ask questions, think carefully, and have work on ideas. It tells you to use our mind and not just follow others. And context, I will use in a classroom. It can help a student to participate more, ask questions, and think by themselves instead of only memorizing information.
Nice. Somebody else? Somebody else wants to participate here? No? It's okay? Yep. Okay. All right. Just one participation, please. Just one more. Somebody else here? Dada? Oh, you. Okay.
The quote says we will not believe everything without thinking. We need to ask questions, look carefully, and listen to the different opinions. It teaches you to think by yourself. In this case, we can use this in class when the teachers want students to think, not only memorize. Also in social media or debates, when there is false information, it reminds us to think before we believe or share something.
Nice.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. Let's go to the conclusions part, please. No worries. Okay, thanks a lot. No, to the conclusions, please. Let's continue with the conclusions. No, next. Okay, so wait, that part. Okay, one of the key points that have oriented my reflections about critical thinking is an idea by Clelia Pineda Baez. She is a professor at Universidad de La Sabana in Bogota. Language competence and criticality are ongoing. never-ending processes. First. Second, criticality invites us to keep assuming a critical attitude as a strategy to know and to learn, in this case, about the English language. Critical thinking occurs gradually organized. Mental processes do not happen randomly, but on the contrary, they obey to an inner logic that leads our brain and intelligence to action. Applying critical thinking in the context of teaching English as a foreign language entails to be able to put into practice different skills as the ones that were mentioned by Facioni and Clelia Pineda. And finally, critical thinking does not accept a passive attitude towards knowledge if we actually want to move from the wish of becoming critical to the fact of being it. If we need to live from our comfort zone, it means the space in which we used to feel calm and quiet. Otherwise, we will be a prisoner of those that oppress us. And the final one, I want to let you a quote by Holmes. 10 seconds. No, the final. No. Sí. Okay. Desultory readers are seldom remarkable for the exactness of their learning. Sherlock Holmes, Study in Scarlet. That's all for today. Thanks for your attention. Hey guys, the final question. Sorry. What is it critical thinking? After listening this speech, what is it critical thinking?
What is critical thinking? So Sarah, right.
For me, critical thinking is develop the cognitive function and implement the other functions with critical thinking, reflection, self control emotion, and creative.
And that's it. Okay, good. Nice. So a big applause for John Brainerd. Big applause for John Brainerd Garcia. Okay, so wait a second, teacher. Wait a second. Come here, please. Sarah, please come here. Can you take a paragraph, please? Teacher, okay, come here. Teacher, okay, as director of this program, I give you this certification for your participation in this event today, right? So here, picture. So thank you so much, teacher. Thanks a lot. And a big applause for John Brainerd again, please.
FUNDES evoluciona. Más de 20 años de experiencia, ahora también en la virtualidad. Estudia Administración Ambiental o Ingeniería Comercial o fortalece tu experiencia profesional especializándote en Gestión del Talento Humano, Gerencia de Empresas de Salud, Derecho Procesal Penal, Gerencia de Proyectos, Sistemas de Gestión Integral de la Calidad, Medio Ambiente y Riesgos Laborales en FUNDES Virtual. Mayores informes 320-225-4010. FUNDES.
Institución sujeta a inspección y vigilancia por el Ministerio de Educación Nacional.
Thank you, teacher. We truly appreciate your valuable contribution. Gracias.
Démosle otro aplauso a nuestro ponente. Agradecemos profundamente su valiosa contribución.
Okay. We now welcome Valentina Cárdenas Cubillos as 8th semester students of bachelor's program, who will present her research project.
Damos la bienvenida a Valentina Cárdenas Cubillos, estudiante de octavo semestre del programa de licenciatura, quien presentará su proyecto de investigación.
Her participation reflects the development of research competence and academic inquiry with the field of language education.
Su participación refleja el desarrollo de competencias investigativas y el fortalecimiento del pensamiento académico en el campo de la enseñanza de lenguas.
Please join me in welcoming her with a one round of applause, please.
Por favor, acompañémosla con un fuerte aplauso.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you. Okay, I am Valentina Cárdenas Cubillos. I am a student of a semester of bachelor degree for a hand language in English. It's a pleasure for me to present my research project titled Skimming and Scanning Techniques to Strengthen Reading Comprehension in 11th grade students. Okay, this research improved reading comprehension through especially reading strategies. Okay, this is my content. 9 parts. The first is problem statement. The second is justification. The third is research question. And the fourth is state of the art. 5 theoretical framework. 6 methodological framework. 7 data collection instruments. And instructional design. And finally, data analysis. Each part is very essential to understand my research work. Okay, let's continue to the problem statement. Taking into account my pedagogical practice experience, I evidence one problem. In this part, I evidence students struggle when they face standardized testing or reading tasks, especially in effects or saber 11. Okay, the traditional teachings, passive reads instant of this part, and lack of limitations and instructions like skimming and scanning. Okay, justification. This research is important because many students have difficulties when they face standardized testing. Okay, also students are not usually taught how to use strategies to apply without the present effects exam. In the other hand, the necessity this population is to achieve good or well score in this exam. For this reason, this study to provide tools to help students understand more effectively a test. Taking in this situation, I formulate these research questions. How do skimming and scanning techniques influence the strengthening of reading comprehension in 11th grade students in standardized tests? Next. Okay, let's continue the state of the art. The state of the art divide in 4 constructs. The first construct is a standardized test. The second is reading comprehension. And the third is a sub-construct in a construct reading comprehension. What is that? Reading strategies. In a 4 is pedagogical purpose. Okay, located in the first construct, Shen, like author Shen in 2023, analyzed how standardized tests affects to performance and pressure during exam. On the other hand, Cárdenas in 2022 focuses on how this test influence reading strategies results in a school context. The next construct is reading comprehension. Okay, the first author include in this part Ebari ETAL in 2021. Okay, study how students understand text and difficulties they face. The same Guayaram ETAL in 2023. Okay, analyze the role of strategies to improve reading comprehension. And the next is the Vargas ETAL in 2021 is focuses on identifying main ideas and comprehension problems. The similarly, Rodriguez in 28 explained reading strategies and interactive process between readers and text. No. Thank you. Okay, the sub-construct reading strategies. Okay, the first author included in this construct is Cattell, ETAL, in 2020. Okay, analyze how strategies improve reading skills. And the next is USMA, ETAL, in 2021, study how to use the strategies in academic context. And the next is Rojas, ETAL, and focuses in how study to apply in reading task. And in the other hand, Lopez, ETAL, in 2021, explained that the strategies help students read faster and better. In the next construct is pedagogical purpose. Okay, the first author included in this part is Jagari in 2022. Analyze how teaching methods influence reading learning in students. The next is Ramirez in 2023. Okay, focuses on the importance of clear objectives in reading tasks. And the next is similar research, Gonzalez in 2022. Study meaningful learning in reading process. And finally, author is Delgado in 2024, highlighted the importance of purpose of the motivation in students. It's important mention in this part, I don't say that all authors include in my research work, but I mentioned the most important of the first research in this part. Unfortunately, case don't found in a regional and local context found research completely. In this case, I only found empowered research. Okay, let's continue the theoretical framework. Taking into account this part, I divide in three main concepts. The first main concept is standardized testing. The second is reading comprehension. In theory, is pedagogical purpose. Okay, the first author, Future, in 2021, defines standardized testing as a tool to measure a student's performance. In the second is Sullivan in 2023, explained that tests must be validity and reliability. And Green in 2022 highlight the impacts of text on learning process. Let's continue the definition of reading comprehension. Okay, in this part is important. These authors, Fox in 2021, define it is understanding and interpreting the text. And the next is Smith in 2020 explain it is a cognitive process, this reading comprehension. And Snow in 2020 describes its interaction with our readings. Okay, and let's continue with the sub definition, reading strategies. Okay, according to the author Anderson, define strategies as a conscious actions temperate comprehension. And the next is Nuttall in 2021, explained that skimming and scanning improve reading efficiency. And the next is Borman in a 2020, highlight that strategies help students process more faster. The next definition, main definition, is pedagogical purpose. Okay, and the first author included this part now and in 2020 explains that bank must have a clear purpose. In Shintani explained that purpose improve learning outcomes. In the different part, Wills in 2020, they highlight the importance of meaningful in activities. Okay, let's continue with the methodology. Okay, I choose the research type quality according to the author Tamayo ETL 2024. The next is research approach according to the author Garcia in 2023, describing it as a process. In the first analyze the problem. The second is develop the intervention of pedagogical structure, use a reflection. And the next is CERI. The CERI is Institución Educativa Técnica Roberto Leiva, located in outside Saldaña, Tolima, in rural area. Okay, the participants is 29 students of 11th grade. This characteristics of this group is your state around the 1 at 2. Your English level according to the effects exam is the A1 at A2. Okay, in this part, the next character is your main social economic is agronomy, agriculture, and sales rice. Ethical considerations used in my research project. The first, use before the intervention the informed consent, and use the anonymity to scores, and responsible use of information. It's important this part, but don't public expose the results, but only exception is if you want participant give me your score, and this is possible. Okay, let's continue data collection instrument. Okay, gather the information, the validity and reliability triangulation according to the author Cartier ETA in 2021. Okay, the first instrument is pretest according to the author Brown in 2021. He says this is assessment, the prior knowledge, the students. The second is a journal. And the author, Monsieur ETAL in 2020, is a record, the experience, a collect perception, the students in a diary. Okay, the next is in semi-structured interview, like author Lopez Sosa in 2021. Okay, he say in this part, they collect the old perspective through the process of intervention. These instruments apply and ending the intervention. Post-test, according to Brown in 2021, is assessment the knowledge acquired through to the process. It's important to mention in this moment, my research project located, apply only the first instrument and develop the second instrument each by each session. Okay, let's continue the instructional design. According to the 80 model, Abraham in 2022, the first step is analyze what is the problem, what is the necessity of population. The second is design the pedagogical strategies. The next is develop the intervention and implementation the intervention at students. And finally, assessment or reflection this process. Okay, this is a data analysis. Taking into account the research question, how do you scanning and scanning techniques influence the strengthening of reading comprehension in 11th grade students in a standardized test? I choose 3 categories. The first, reading comprehension. The second, reading strategies. In the third, pedagogical purpose. Okay, this part of my presentation is sometimes particular results, the pretest. In the parts, I evidenced 5 aspects. The first, low reading comprehension performance in students. 2, limited identification of main ideas inside a test. The third difficulty is locating a specific information without a question in a test, in a standardized test. 4, lack of use of reading strategies like skimming, scanning, comprehension, in other there are. Okay, the five aspect is more important for me, but this refers to attitude my students. Mixed attitude toward reading, low and moderate motivation for this class. Okay, this part corresponds to journal. Classroom observation during the intervention. Okay, this is a many aspects of survey in a class. The first, students don't know how to approach a test. In this case, to refer IFX exams. Second, tendency to read word by word. The three is fear of not understanding log a text. And the three is the more difficult, random answering when comprehension fails. And the four is need for explicit reading strategies to easier comprehension at test. Okay, thank you for your attention, guys. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Other big applause for Dana Valentina, please. Come here, Dana. Come here, please. So, Dana, I give you this certification for your participation in this event. Thank you so much. It was really, really good. So, Cesar, now are the comments or? Okay, perfect. Okay, teacher, very good. So, first of all, thank you. Okay, teacher John, do you wanna give her some comments about her presentation?
Okay. First, I would like to highlight. I love and I feel kind of, maybe that is a bias I have, but I feel very excited when I read a test and when I find references in that test, because it shows me two things. The number one is that that person is being serious with he or she is doing. In this case, this research exercise. And the second one, and maybe the most important one, is that person is improving his or her capacities to go in depth into a specific topic. I could maybe I count 33 references. Conté 33 referencias. All of them are updated. It means any of them is older than 5 years. And normally when we do research, that is one of the most important requirements. No references can be older than 5 years. And it caught my attention a lot. And also something that I would like to highlight is that you took the time to explain all those references. And I also like the way you organize the state of art. I don't know if that is going, if this presentation or the document is your final research project. If no, try to consider as the final one, because I suppose, or I think, I'm pretty sure, not, I don't suppose, I don't think, no, I'm pretty sure that you are near to finish it, because after listening to you, I could see that you have done a long process and a very significant process too. So basically what I want is to tell you to continue. Of course, there are some issues to keep in mind. For example, I don't know if you finished, but if you haven't, try to design an instrument that includes quantitative data, because there are some scholars that feel kind of, I don't know how to say that, biased when we don't include data. You know, you did triangulation, and triangulation is a very, very meaningful and relevant strategy for analyzing data. But if you include, I don't know if you have the chance to do it so far, but if you include an instrument in which you can get numbers, it would be much better. It would enrich and it would give more reliability and credibility to your research. But I just want to congratulate you because it was a nice job. It was quite interesting to stay here to listen to you. Congrats.
Very good. Yeah. Yeah. So big applause for Valentina. Yes. Yes, I think I really like your researching because as my teacher, John Brainer, said, you got a lot of references and are updated. Which is really, really important for our researching, right? So you got references from 2022, maybe 2021, and so on, right? But that's really good. I really like it. And your appropriation of your topics, of your research is incredible because yesterday we talked about that you, okay, feel relaxed because if it's your researching, your project, your work, you're going to speak really, really calm, really well, right? And today you show us this kind of exercise that you feel really comfortable and confident about your research. So I feel really happy for you because yes, you got the strength, you got the references, you got the theory, you got a lot of things that we can say, right, yes, she knows a lot about her research. So I really like it, okay? So a big applause for Valentina and thank you so much, okay? Good. Bueno, entonces, el profe Elvi ya está conectado, ¿no?
Invierte en tu futuro.
Estudia en FUNDES del Espinal. Derechos, licenciatura en lengua extranjera e inglés, tecnología en regencia de farmacia y especialización en educación e intervención psicoeducativa.
Becas, descuentos y convenios.
Llama ya al 320-225-4010.
Institución sujeta a inspección y vigilancia por el Ministerio de Educación Nacional.
Okay, thank you, Valentina, for that valuable presentation and for sharing your research with us. We truly appreciate your contribution and commitment to academic inquiry. We are going to improve a couple of minutes for questions.
Agradecemos a Valentina por su valiosa presentación y por compartir su trabajo de investigación con nosotros. Reconocemos su compromiso con el desarrollo académico y la investigación.
Okay. Finally, we welcome Delby Antonio Polanco Adams, who will present Making Math Meaningful Strategies for Effective Teaching.
Finalmente, damos la bienvenida a Delby Antonio Polanco Adams, quien presentará Making Math Meaningful Strategies for Effective Teaching.
Delby Polanco is a university professor and curriculum coordinator with a strong academic background in mathematics, physics, and education. He holds a master's degree in physics and is currently pursuing a PhD. He has extensive experience in research, teaching, and academic innovation, focusing on mathematics education and the integration of technology into teaching process.
Delby Polanco es profesor universitario y coordinador académico con una sólida formación en matemáticas, física y educación. Es magíster en física y actualmente cursa estudios de doctorado. Cuenta con amplia experiencia en investigación, docencia e innovación académica, con énfasis en la enseñanza de las matemáticas y la integración de la tecnología en los procesos educativos.
Please join me in welcoming him with a warm round
Ahora
of applause.
acompañémoslo con un fuerte aplauso. That's online.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Good morning.
Morning.
I'm sorry.
Worries.
Good morning. I am really happy to be here today. Can you hear me, please? For me, is thank you for the invitation to this activity. I am really happy to be here. Today, I want to share with you about teaching math in English. I know sometimes we need to teach English to non-native English speaker. For that reason, I would like to share with you something about how can we teach English for the non-native English speaker. This is the content we are going to share with you in this activity today. The next one, please. Good. We have the global demand. I know today most of 10 careers like science and technology need English. If students want good jobs or to study abroad, they need to know math in English. Because most of the time, if you want to apply for any job, you need to know English. We have also the cognitive, this mean learning math and English together. I know sometimes it's really difficult to, it's really hard, it's very difficult to learning English math in the same time. For that reason, it's very important to think about how can we teach English for the non-native English speakers. Also, the content language. Math is no more important than English, and English is no more important than math. They are partners. We teach both together. Also, we have the framework. When we have the framework, I know, for example, the framework, we have the content. The content is the math because we want to teach math for the non-native English speaker. The communication, speaking and writing English. Cognition, challenging the students to think hard. The culture, connecting math to the real world. I would like to ask you, in your opinion, which of these forces, content, communication, cognition, culture, is the most difficult to teach in math class? I would like your participation. Which of these forces, content, communication, cognition, culture, is the most difficult to teach in math class? Because I know, for example, imagine in this case, you are teaching English and math in the same time in any school. For you, which of these four C's is the most difficult to teach in a math class? Content, communication, cognition, culture. I would like to know your opinion about this. Anyone?
Okay, so the question is, what is more difficult to explain? Is content, communication, cognition, or culture? Yeah, this is the question,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
All right.
Which of these four C's, I mean content, communication, cognition, culture,
Yes.
is the most difficult to teach in math class?
Okay.
Imagine you are right now teaching English, but in this case, you are teaching the numbers.
Uh-huh. Yes.
I would like to know your opinion.
Okay.
What is the most difficult to teach in math English? The content is the math. Communication is speaking and writing in English, in this case math. Cognition and culture.
All right, good. In Plaza School, who is the teacher who is teaching maths in Plaza School? So, Nicole, for you, what is the most difficult part about content, communication, cognition, and culture to explain in Plaza School with the children?
I think so is the more difficult is content because for the teacher of the children's is the different methods or use the strategies for the teaching on basing is math is not easier because the student is improve the ability to improve his abilities, but it's difficult for the students to understand different areas.
Nice.
Great, great.
Yes. Okay, teacher.
Great. I agree with that because our students have problem in content, in math. Because, you know, uh, sometimes when the student is in the school, uh, they have problem to understand math. But in this case, I would like to share with you some methodology how to teach math and English in the same time. Good. We have also, because I know, for example, for imagine we in this case the content, communication, culture. We need to teach our students all of them, but most of the time the students have problem with the math content. We have also the next one. Wait a moment. We have here the academic language proficiency. In this case, we know sometimes that our students, we don't get the abilities or the skills because sometimes they have problem to understand some content. But I would like to share with you another question because I would like to know what is the language. I mean, what is the language an important factor when teaching math to non-native English speakers? Why is what is language an important factor when teaching mathematics to non-native English speakers? What factors do you think, or which factors do you think do you need to consider in the moment you are teaching math to non-native English speakers?
Okay, perfect. So, all right. The question is, what kind of factors do you have to take into account to teach maps? Yes?
Yes.
All right, good. Somebody wants to talk about that? For example, Nicole, yes? For you, what is the most important thing or the most important factor to teach maps to the children? Yeah?
The
Yes,
most
I would like to
important-
know that.
Okay, the most important factor is using the development skill. In one factor is critical thinking. For the logical, mathematical is more interesting, but is difficult for teacher of the students. In this case, children.
Any else? Thank
Michael.
Hello, Delby Polanco, teacher Delby Polanco, sorry.
Yes.
My name is Michael Montalegre, and I think is very important factor is previous knowledge. Yeah, for in in the teaching English as a foreign language is very important previous knowledge because the students need associate your previous knowledge with the new knowledge. Yeah, for example, they must know the definition the plus in English, but they need know the definition in Spanish. Suma in español, in English plus. They associate the previous knowledge with the new knowledge.
Great, great. Great participation. Oh, any else?
Somebody else? Somebody else?
Okay.
Okay.
Language is important because students need to understand the meaning of the problem. Imagine you are now teaching math. The students need to understand the meaning of the problem before they can solve it. Math is not only numbers, it also includes instructions, vocabulary, explanation. If a student do not understand the language, they may fail even they know the math. Therefore, teachers must simplify language, use visuals, and check understanding constantly. Anyone, I would like to know if you, in any case, have you, I mean, who here, do you have any experience teaching math? Do you have any experience teaching math?
Okay, Nicole, tell us about your experience teaching math in Plaza School.
Okay, my experience in teaching math plus school is the more difficult because is one area is more important but difficult for the students and development skills for example when used math and relate with English and the moment teaching. In this case, it's not used relate with numbers. Is more than deeply for the learning for the students.
Okay, great. Anyone? Any?
Okay, anyone? Maybe in your schools, the teachers here, yeah, maybe you are in 6th semester or 7, but some of you are working in the schools. So the students here who are working in the schools got the opportunity to teach math. Who? Alejandra, have you ever teach math in your school? Okay, tell us about your experience.
Okay, my experience is difficult and because they search strategies and they diversity the activities for their learning the students.
Okay, somebody else? Bruno? Somebody else here teaching maths? No? No? All right. Teacher.
Yes, thank you for your participation. In my case, I am working in two universities. I need to teach math and physics. I was working abroad because I live in Dominican Republic. In this case, for example, when I was getting my master degree, I was studying in China. In that time, I was working in any international school in China. I was teaching math in English. Imagine in this case, my students didn't speak Spanish. In that time, they were learning math and English in the same time because they spoke they were speaking English. In that for example, that was in China, but the native for them were Mandarin or Chinese language. But for me was really difficult to teach them math and English in the same time. But it it not it not was impossible. Was not impossible. For that reason, I needed to use different methodology how to teach math and English in the same time for them. That was a great experience for me because I that was amazing, but it was difficult, but not impossible. Uh, right now, I would like to use some methodologies, but in this case, I want to ask you many more questions. How can visual resources improve student understanding of math concepts? You know, in math, you need to use different concepts, but I would like to know how can visual resources improve student understanding of math concepts.
Okay.
How can visual resources improve students' understanding of math concepts?
Okay, perfect, teacher. Aleja, talking about your experience in your math classes, do you use, in the last classes, images for teaching math? Yes? Okay, so that's good or not for your students?
Through the image, they improve the students for the learning. They facilitate. Yes.
Okay. She said that it's really easy and improve their English skills, the students' English skills using images. Okay, Nicole.
I believe that is more easier when you use the different dynamics or for the teaching images for the teacher, and they use the different methods because it's helping for the students to understanding different aspects to develop of the area math.
Good. Somebody else? Somebody else? So according to our experience, because teacher, we are teachers in just English, right? So here, some students are working with some schools, and in those schools, they are teaching maps. And here in the university, here in the university, we got a project called Plus School, where we teach different areas, yes, to some students or children. Yeah. For this reason, just a couple of students are talking about teaching maps, but in general, we teach English. Yes. So maybe we can give you examples with images, but teaching just English, not maps. Could be good for you.
Okay, it's great. It's great. Because, you know, when you are teaching English, sometimes you need to teach numbers, any figure. Uh, for example, when you are now teaching for kids. Imagine you need to teach the numbers to the kids in English. Do you think the how can visual resources improve a student understanding of math concept? In that case, when you are teaching the numbers for your students.
Yes, some teachers said yes, that the images improving the students' knowledge, teaching maps.
In this case, visual resources help students connect abstract ideas. Math has abstract ideas with concrete representation. For example, graph. When you are teaching math, you need to use graph. This case, different images make concepts easier to see and understand. Also, they have many simulations in internet and also technology tools like GeoGebra allow students to explore math with improved. In this case, the students, if you use different visual resources, the visual resources can help to the student to understand uh, these different math concepts. Right now, different simulation in internet. We have in this case, artificial intelligence. They can help to create different visual resources to teach math. Also, we have in this case, for example, we have the term of proximal development. It's the distance between what a student can do alone and they can do with curves. Also, we use the content-based instruction. The instruction is very important to teach math because this idea is simple. We learn a language better when we use it to talk about something real. Imagine you are now teaching math, but you need to connect the instruction to the something real. For example, if you are teaching math to students, teenagers, you need to connect the instruction with the real life. No use some instruction as trap. I mean, if you know you are working with kids, you need to use any instruction. We can connect the instruction with the real life of this kid. If you use that, the student can understand better this instruction. The next one, please. Sorry. Oh, in this case, we use the content, communication, cognition, and culture. We use that. In this case, for example, I would like that you tell me. Uh, I was I was talking about the different methodology how to teach English. Uh, in this case, for example, you need to teach math in the same time because I know you are studying English, but in this case, imagine if you have the opportunity to work in any international school and you need to teach some basic math to primary school. I would like to know if you have this opportunity, how can you teach math to these students? What uh, what methodology or which methodology are you going to use to teach math? I would like to know, in this case, you share with me different methodology. How can you use this methodology? Which methodology are you going to use? I know you are not studying math in this moment. You are studying English, but I would like to know your opinion about this thing. Imagine you are working in the international school. These students, uh, they are non-native English speaker. In this case, if you have this opportunity and you need to work in this primary school, you just need to teach some basic math concepts. I would like to know, if you have this opportunity, which methodology are you going to use to math and English in the same time to the students? And how are you going to use this methodology to teach math and English in the same time?
Okay, teacher. Good. Nice.
I would like to give you 3 minutes to prepare. You can work if you want, you can work in group. I would like to know your opinion because in this case, I just want to know this: which methodology and how are you going to use this methodology to teach to these kids in the primary school?
Okay. Okay, perfect, teacher.
You can use the methodology you use to teach English, but in this case, you are going to teach English and math in the same time.
Okay. Okay, ready. Good. Okay, so we're going to make groups just where you are. Yes. For example, this line with this line, you're going to make one group. Okay. And the question is, what methodology or what strategies or methodologies you have to use with some kids or children from other country that they don't speak English and our native speaker speaking or language, for example, Spanish. For example, you travel to Brazil where the people speak Portuguese, or you travel to China where the people speak Chinese or Mandarin. Yes. So what will be your strategy or for teaching, your strategy or methodologies for teaching English? Yes, but in this case, maths. Okay, for this kind of students without speaking, for example, students that don't speak in English or Spanish. Okay, what could be your methodology or strategy to teach English and math? Yes, get it? Okay, this line and this line. Okay, the same question. What could be your methodology or strategy to teach English with math? Okay, with mathematics in English. What could be your strategy to teach maths in English to students from, for example, Brazil or China or Japan, that they don't speak Spanish and English so. So what can you do? Yeah, you got it? Think about it. Think about it. You got 5 minutes. Think about it. What could be your methodology or strategy to teach maths in English? For example, students from China. What could be your strategy? All right, here. Alejan, Fabian, and Lauren, Christian. Okay, here, Camila. What could be your strategy to teach English or to teach math in English to students from China, for example, that they don't speak Spanish and English more than less? Yes? What could be your strategy or your methodology to teach math in English? Okay? People from Brazil or China, yes? The native speakers are not English and your native language. Okay, and here we are going to think the same. Yeah? And we have 2 teachers here, right? So, okay. So, what could be your strategy or methodology to teach math in English? Yes. To students from China, for example, that they don't speak Spanish and English. Yeah. What could be your strategy? Maybe more or less English, more or less, or maybe in Brazil, the people speak Portuguese. So, what could be your strategy? Think about it. You have 5 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, math. Teaching math in English. What could be your strategy or methodology to teach math in English? Yeah, to students from other country where not speak Spanish and English. What could be your strategy? English more than less. Yes? Yeah. Okay, who's ready? The first line, ready? Michael? You ready? 1 minute. 1 minute. Here. Second line. Ready? You ready here? Sarah, Sharon, you ready? Think about it. 1 minute. Here. Ready? Here. Yeah, you ready? 1 minute. You ready? 1 minute. Okay. Okay. This line? 1 line, 2 lines. See? Okay. Okay, who's ready? Yeah, ready here? All right. Teacher Delby, we have this groups ready. So they are going to start the participation. So we are going to start with the first group. Okay?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Laura, Palomino? Okay. Yes, we right. Ready? Presentate. You have to present yourself because it's with Delby.
Okay, good morning. I am Laura, and the strategy as a group is gamification. For example, when I teach math and focus on geometric shapes, for example, and we use activities and could be physical activities or digital activities. Mm.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Nice. Ready?
Great. Great.
Okay. Vamos con. Okay, we are going with the second group, right? Nicole?
Great.
Nicole, the math teacher here. Right?
Okay, I use the CLIL methodology, but supported by scaffolding because it helping use visual aids and you explain step by step for the students. Is helping for the process and the learning during is help you learning process during is helping for the student their English skills.
For Nicole. Nice. Okay, this group, ready? This group is ready? Here? Okay.
Bueno, for my team, the methodology CLIL is very important because they teach language English at the same time and the partnership with the math, and they use repetitive vocabulary, add, subtraction. Another factor, another strategy is the theory. Theory. The Maria Montessori include the sensorial, and include the colors, visual eyes, and blocks. And with my partner, gamification.
Good. And applause for Sarah. Thank you. Here, Shara, you want to say something? Yes? Okay.
Okay, for example, in places like China, a good strategy is to use objects and simple actions and to teach math in English because students watch, repeat, and practice the math English.
Okay, an applause for Shara. Thank you. Nice. Lauren.
Okay. The Asian people have breeding a lot of independence.
For this reason, we use or I use to some activities, and I will use the review media methods or Montessori methods. And children understand the quantity on order through real experience, such as diagrams, charts, sudokus, liver lines. Also implements problem solving because there are cases that around the world. For example, using materials, Montessori materials, learn thoughts, account, and explore objects, building meaningful connections while discovering partners, improving in skills, and developing confidence in everyday situations.
Nice. Good. Somebody else? Somebody else
Great
wants?
participation. Thank you for your participation. Can you hear me, please? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
we have the last participation here, teacher.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Okay. Okay. Let me remember what I was about to say. It's about the strategies. How could I implement the strategies? I chose the two concepts that we could be related in Japan. Math and English would be related if we implement multiple courses or groups that needs to be focused on divide, plus, minus, and so on. That's what I just created.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, teacher. Yeah, continue. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your participation. I am really happy to to be here. In this case, I am going to share with you my experience. In this, I was working in international school in China. I was teaching math and English in the same time. In this case, I'm going to share with you which methodology I was using in my experience teaching math and English at the same time. For example, it's possible to teach math and English together. In this case, when I was teaching addiction to my students, for example, I want to teach to my students addiction. In this case, I have the number 2 and the number 3. I want to show them, for example, 2 plus 3 equals 5. 2 plus 3 equals 5. In this case, I show them the number 2. I show them the number 3. I try to explain them how they can get the result. But before that, I need to teach them the vocabulary because it's impossible my students can understand me if I don't teach them the vocabulary first. Of course, I can teach them the vocabulary also in the same time because in that case I can write the number 2, I can write the number 3, I can write the plus, equals. In that time, I try to show them how they can get the results. This methodology name is content and language integrated learning. Also, we have total physical response. A student moves their bodies. In this case, if I want to teach them the numbers, I try to tell them clap 4 times. They can learn math and English in the same time because it's important when you are teaching math. Also, you can prepare some games and play with the students. The next methodology is scaffolding. All students step by step. You need the math is subject a little difficult for that for that reason. We need to teach them step by step. We need to try to be to help them in all the time. Also, the gamification is very important. Learn win game. We can prepare a lot of games to teach our students math and English in the same time. We have a lot of technology tools in internet. We can use it to teach math and English in the same time. For example, we have GeoGebra, we have MathLab, we have a lot of software. We can prepare a lot of games like Kahoot, also the artificial intelligence. We use to prepare a lot of games for our students. It's very important the cooperative learning. It's important our students can work together. We need to promote the cooperative learning because when our students work together, they can learn very fast. Also, we have the visual learning. When we have the visual learning, it's very important to show to our students when we are teaching math in English, it's very important to show our students different pictures because in this case, if I talk about any house, we can show to our student any picture about any house because they can connect the vocabulary with the pictures. Also, it's very important the repetition message because sometimes our students don't understand something, but if we can repeat different times, we can get the idea about we are talking about. Also, it's very important to modeling. For example, if I want, imagine I want my students do that any activity. It's very important the teacher show first the activity, modeling the activity, because sometimes we ask to a student to do something, but we are not modeling the activity. If I want my student solve any math problem, I need to solve the problem first. Because if I don't solve the problem first, my students is not going to understand how to solve the problem. We need to model the activity first. After that, we ask to our students to do this activity. Also, it's very important to motivate to our students to ask any question in any time. Because sometimes they don't understand something, and we need to motivate to ask any question. We have also the real life content learning. Real life content learning. If I want to design any activity for my students, we need to connect the activity with the real life of our students. Imagine if our students, um, imagine my students, they don't know anything about uh, Europe. I am not going to use this contest to define the activity. We need to design the activity, the instruction. The instruction needs to connect with the real life of our students. We can use the context of our students, the community of our students. If I connect the activity with the real life of our students, they can understand better math and English. And we need to all the time to try to our students can know the vocabulary we are going to use in our class. We need to try every time to teach to our students the vocabulary we are going to use in our class. And we can use different visual tools to teach. For that reason, I can tell it's not impossible to teach math and English in the same time. It's not impossible. We need to use the right methodology to teach math and English in the same time for non-native English speakers. In that moment, I would like to know if you have any question about the presentation, if you want to know anything, if you want to tell something. I would like to know if you have any question.
Okay. So, dear students, any question about this presentation? Okay, so they used to talk about if you have taken, or what do you think about if you have to take into account the context, the real context of the students when you want to teach, in this case, math and English? Yeah. So, in a personal way, I say yes. You have to take into account the context of your students to teach whatever, not just math, also other things. Yeah. So for me, it's really important to take into account the context. So what do you think about that? You want to say something about that? What do you think about the context of your students? Because the teacher said that it's really important when you have to take into account the culture of your students. Yes. For example, you have the opportunity to teach in a classroom, yes, and you apply a topic relating to Europe, but your students don't know anything about Europe and never travel abroad or never go there. So it's really difficult when you want to teach something, for example, about Europe with your students when they don't know anything about that. So the idea is to apply the real context of your students, the reality of your students. So what do you think about that? What do you think? Yeah. For example, Nicole teaching maths here in Plaza School. Yes. But do you think taking into account the real context of the students helps to teach maths in English?
Yes, because it's helping relate in real context. It's for as a teacher, is you teach a different, but for example, in this case, math, but it helping relate with the real context because it is the real life. Its situations is on basing of different aspects that helping for the students or for example the native speakers.
Good, very good. Yeah, for example, if you teach math and you arrive to the classroom and, for example, you're teaching the economy from China, and you are teaching maps in Colombia. Yes, and you apply the money from China. Why you apply the money from China? Because we are in Colombia. It's better that you apply a class relating to the Colombian money. Yes, this is something like that. Yeah, you got questions? More questions? Yeah, about the reality or taking into account the reality of the students to teach something. Questions? Want to say something? Here? No? No, not nobody? No? What do you think, Fernando? You think it's real good to take into account the context? Talking about the culture, for example, when you want to teach something.
It's all. I don't have to say that. Something what? I think the culture is very important because it's a fundamental stage when you want to learn something about the other country. It's very important because you have to know what the people do in this country. Obviously, the behaviors, the customs, the traditions, the festivities that the country has, and all of these things belong to the culture.
Thank you. All right, teacher. They don't have questions about it. Can you hear me, teacher? Teacher?
Yes. Can you repeat the question?
That you are, we don't have questions here. They
Okay,
just
okay.
about the culture.
Okay, great. The culture is very important because when you connect your class with the culture, with the students' culture, uh, the students are going to feel more comfortable and motivated because they are going to identify the class with them. It's very important every time because sometimes we are using in our class different textbooks. Some textbooks uh, are not connected, are not connecting with our culture, but we can, when we are going to design any activity, we can connect the activity with our culture or our students' culture. We can use the daily life situations of our students. We can use the student names because sometimes imagine if you are teaching math and English in the same time in Colombia and the textbook, your textbook is from German. The name of the activity most of the time possible not connect with our students. We can use the student name, or we can compare the cultures with different countries. We can use that. But I am very grateful to your invitation to this activity. Uh, Thank you for your attention. I hope we can meet in another moment. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, teacher, thank you. A big applause for Delby from República Dominicana. Thank you so much.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you, teacher. Thank you so much. Teacher Delby, thank you so much. Thanks for coming up. Thanks for your presentation. We are really pleased. We are really happy with your presentation. And obviously, we are very, very honored about your information here, your experience that you share with us here in this event. We are really happy about that, teacher, right? So,
Thank you
teacher,
so much.
I'm going to show you your certification of your participation. Yes, we are going to show you through the platform, and we are going to show you this certification here in the platform. Just wait a second, and obviously I'm going to send you the certification to your mail. Right? Don't worry about it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
teacher. Here you can see your certification of your participation in this event. And as I told you, we are really pleased about your information and experience in different countries, teaching maps in English. So for me, it was really useful. Thank you so much, my teacher. Right?
Thank you, teacher. For me, I am really happy to share with you my experience.
Thank you so much, teacher. And a big applause for Delvi again.
Thank
Okay, thanks, teacher Delvi, for that valuable presentation. And with this, we come to the end of the CLIL International Symposium. We seriously thank you, our speakers, participants, and organizers for their valuable contribution and active participation. This event has been a meaningful space for learning, reflection, and academic exchange. We hope the ideas shared here continue to inspire your educational practice, and thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you in the future academic events.
Con esto damos cierre a la 9ª edición del Simposio Internacional CLIL. Agradecemos sinceramente a todos los ponentes, participantes y organizadores por sus valiosos aportes y participación activa. Este evento ha sido un espacio significativo de aprendizaje, reflexión e intercambio académico. Esperamos que las ideas compartidas continúen inspirando sus prácticas educativas. Muchas gracias y esperamos encontrarnos en futuros espacios académicos.
Invierte en tu futuro.
Estudia en FUNDES del Espinal. Derechos, licenciatura en lengua extranjera inglés, tecnología en regencia de farmacia y especialización en educación e intervención psicoeducativa.
Becas, descuentos y convenios.
Llama ya al 320-225-4010.
Institución sujeta a inspección y vigilancia por el Ministerio de Educación Nacional.